Too many hats. Spoiled her. Go.
Okay, I'm Michael Cantwell, the president of the Democratic Club of Delray Beach, and welcome everyone, and thanks for coming. I think we're all looking forward to this. A few things first. I want to acknowledge candidates and officials in the audience. Alex Freeman in the back is running for county sheriff, and Ann Gannon is our constitutional tax collector, and she's going to say a few words about our flipping a seat in the House. It's a good start to the year.
It's a good start, but I'm going to make this really short because he told me I had to. The way they won that race is, as you know by state law now, you are ranked as the first tier when you vote all the time. The second tier, if you haven't voted for 2 years, they take you off the first tier. They won that race because they started in July, knocking on the second tier voters. So that's a message for all of us here, to get that list and sign them up for vote by mail, because they won that House race and they took every MPA vote that they got. It was 570 of them. So you guys got a challenge, or we guys got a challenge, and we need to start working now to get those vote by mails in from that whole class of voter.
Okay, I'm going to turn the meeting over for a second to Bob Abarak, our parliamentarian, to address one bit of club business every January.
Thanks, Matt. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good response. Excellent.
Where's the mic?
Where's the mic?
He doesn't need one.
Well, that's also true. Last Friday, the 12th of January, as dictated by the bylaws of the Delray Beach Democratic Club, the nominating committee met because it is time once again to elect our slate of officers. The election of officers will occur at the March meeting, which I believe will be on Thursday, March 21st, if I got my third Thursdays correct. We met. All decisions reached by the nominating committee were unanimous. And as the chair of the nominating committee, I'm very, very pleased to announce that the referred slate of officers to be elected and commence in March of this year for 2 years will be Michael Cantwell, some new kid from around here, as president, Charlene blessing us with a return as vice president, the great man of numbers and all things electronic, Dave Kulik as our treasurer. Mary Fader, we're very happy to see you come back as our secretary. A new word, but making a huge difference in the club as our recording secretary, Janet Zweiback. And there's some guy named Abarak here who will be returning as parliamentarian. So that's the report of the nominating committee. But now there's something else I want to discuss, and it really kind of underscores what Ann, just said. We had an interesting situation this year involving the municipal elections. The reason being is that on Tuesday, March 19th, the date of the municipal elections is also the date of the Republican presidential preference primary. There is no Democratic presidential preference primary. What that means, folks, is we're going to have a skewing of turnout and a skewing of results. Why is that important? Well, these 6 terrific people behind me, they're all Democrats. And we certainly want to see, 3 wonderful Democrats elected to office here in Delray Beach to support the people of Delray and to be part of our bench for future candidates, for state representative, for state senator, for county commission, for, you know, and it all starts in the municipalities. So, you're here because you plan to be involved, you plan to vote. But I want to ask one more thing of you. I want you to go out to your friends, go out to your neighbors, go out to your family, go out to, you know, the person serving you at the pizza restaurant. And if they live in the city of Delray Beach, get them out to vote on March 19th to neutralize that Republican skewing, okay? All politics is local, and I'm counting on you to, you know, bring that to fruition, okay? So, thank you.
Okay, if you've been at prior debates, I've moderated them, not always very well. So this year, I asked Sharon Fratkin, who's up at the podium and has extensive experience up in Massachusetts. She's moderated literally dozens of debates for the League of Women Voters and other groups. So she's gonna be our moderator tonight, and Bob and I are going to be asking the questions, just like in a real debate on TV, presidential debates, where the guy from NBC News and the other one from CNN asks questions, and there's a moderator, and Sharon can keep order, and we have the fun of asking questions. All of the questions were formulated by our board, and the order and the placement was done by randomization, as we've always done it. So let me turn it over to Sharon, and she'll give everyone the rules for the debate.
Hi everyone, I know you all don't know me. You gotta tell me if this is wrong, or you can't hear me, or you hear me too loud. Okay, so joining our panel tonight in the race for city commissioners are Shirley Johnson and Nick.
I'm here.
I'm pointing, but
No.
who knows where they are?
Turn your notes upside down.
Well, I know that down there is Shirley Johnson and Ryan Boylston, because I met them before, and then Nick and Julie. Okay, and Tennille and Jim Chard at the end. Okay? Thank you very much. I hope I got the names correct. I really wanted to. So the forum consists of opening remarks, which will be 2 minutes for each candidate, and closing remarks will be 1 minute for each candidate. The meat of the forum, as Michael mentioned, the questions, are going to be answered by each candidate, and the order was randomly selected. Responses to the questions will be 2 minutes, and each person will have a 1 minute rebuttal time. It'll be, one person will speak, the second person will speak from the table, and then they'll have a 1 minute rebuttal each, hopefully, if I do this right. And there's no obligation for them to use their rebuttal time. You don't have to. If you don't have anything further to say, if you do, you can use it. Timekeeping. So at the front table, you probably can't see them, is Charlene and Mary, who's hiding. Why is she hiding? Mary Fader. And Char has made signs to let the candidates know when their time is almost to an end. Can you just show them what they're going to see quickly? So 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and you're very well done. Stop. Okay, and they're going to be your best friends, so pay attention and be nice to them. It's important when you hear the stop, Mary will ring a bell. I'm sorry to be rude, but you will all stop, okay? We really don't have that much time, and the place closes at 9 o'clock. So, let me see. You can stand at your seat if you want to do that. You can sit if you prefer to do that. We don't have any obligation. Do what you think makes you most comfortable. There are going to be no audience questions taken tonight. There will be no personal attacks allowed, so don't even consider it. And we ask the audience and the candidates to put all their cell phones on silent for the whole meeting or take any emergency calls outside the room. If there's time at the end, candidates can mull around and talk with some of the people here if they want to stay, as long as Pompeii isn't closing on us. The meeting's going to be recorded, right, Michael?
Yeah.
And the recording will be available somewhere.
In a day or two.
Pardon me?
In a day or two.
In a few days? Yeah. And it will.
On our YouTube channel.
How, on the YouTube, on our YouTube channel?
Search on YouTube for it?
No, it's on, if you go to the website of the club, demclubofdelray.org, right at the top, you can see YouTube, there's a couple of links you gotta.
Okay. So, let's begin with the opening remarks. And we're in it now. I'm pulling out my questions and rebuttal moment. And first we're going to start with Shirley and Ryan. We'll go Shirley first and then Ryan. Oh, wait, yep, Shirley and Ryan. And that's a seat 5 and also the mayor's seat.
Good evening. Get out from behind the table. I'm not blocked by it, but obstacle course back there. I am so excited to be here today. I'm Shirley Irvin Johnson, and I am a grassroots candidate, civic-minded, independent of outside of any known group other than my favorite political Democratic Party. This, by the way, is my club, the Delray Beach Democratic Club, but of course they're not going to play any favoritism towards me. They are so independent it hurts. And I live in this neighborhood. I have lived in the northwest neighborhood of Delray Beach all of my life here in the state of Florida. I've served 6 years on the commission and now want to lead it as mayor. But I need your vote and your support. Most of you in the room know me and know my life story and work. I lost my mother when I was 12 years old. That really shaped who I am. I'm just beginning to understand it as I mature. My father put me in charge, actually demanded that I be responsible for the entire care of the home and the family, my 2 younger sisters. He also demanded that I graduate. I graduated from Carver, then I graduated from Howard, and then I met my loving soulmate, Arnold Johnson Sr., who is blessing me tonight with being here. He usually doesn't want to be bothered, so I love this her. From that union, we have 2 children and 3 grandchildren. I am very proud of them. A side note, I hope to see her tonight to have her stand up and take a bow. Speaking of grandchildren, Mrs. Yvonne Odom's Coco has reached 2nd level at the Australian Open. So if you are keeping track or not aware that it started, it has started. I was blessed to be hired after my husband said I needed to go for an interview. The area of...
That's your time. Just finish the sentence, you're done.
Okay. Diversity, equity, inclusion, at it. I'll talk about it later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shirley. You set a good tone for paying attention. Ryan?
You're tall enough.
Oh, you getting out? Okay, remember again to look at Chuck.
Start charting.
Go ahead.
30 seconds already? Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here tonight. I have run twice, and I was elected and re-elected in 2018 and 2021, but this is my first time here. Because like Mr. Tom Marker, who's in the audience here, I was an NPA until a few years ago. I did not grow up in a political household. I was not a very political person. I got to tell you, until a few years ago, and really got obviously very involved in politics. But I did grow up in a household of servanthood. My father was a police officer. My grandfather was a firefighter. His brother was a fire chief, all here in South Florida. I'm a second-generation Floridian. And a few years ago, I decided I have to get off the bench, and I got to get in the game. And there's only one side that I would choose. And so I just wanted to say thank you. Over the last 2 elections, you did invite me to sit in the audience, although I wasn't invited up here. And now this third year, I'm really proud to be up here. So thank you so much for that. I'm currently serving as your vice mayor, and now I'm running for mayor. And I'm really hoping to stop there, but apparently I'm on another bench that potentially to go further. But really, I'm just about serving my city. I started off volunteering, which then went to sitting on a board, my first board, Pineapple Grove Arts District Board, which I was on with Miss Ann Gannon back there. And then I said yes to a charrette, and then I said yes to the DDA, and yes to running for city commission, and now I'm running for mayor. My wife tells me I got to stop saying yes. I think this is the last one she's gonna give me. So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. After opening statements, we'll hold applause, okay? I appreciate, what you're trying to do, but, it's going to get a problem, so. Julie.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh,
Turn 'em on.
hold on.
Flip.
Start that timer, yeah?
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for sponsoring this event. It's amazing for us to have the opportunity to come out and speak to people, so I appreciate that, and thank you for moderating for us. And thank you all for coming to hear what we have to say. It's exciting to see so many people here. I am a member of this club as well. Julie Casal, I am running for Delray Beach City Commission Seat 3. I'm a mom to a 14-year-old daughter, a wife. I have a couple rescue cats that my child brings home, and a dog. I have lived in Delray Beach for 19 years, and I plan on living here forever. I served as your city commissioner from 2020 to 2023, proudly. I sat on the CRA board as well, Community Redevelopment Agency, and on the Reclaim... Oh, battery's gone. Oh, no, it's back. And on the Reclaim Water Board, along with the Planning and Zoning Board. So I have a lot of experience in the city, and I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. I feel very...
Grab the other one.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, thank you. I feel passionate about serving the city. Currently, I'm on the Delray Beach Women's Club. I'm also on hiatus from the Preservation Trust. I just wanted to be on hiatus while I ran. And I'm the captain of a wonderful tennis team at the Delray Beach Tennis Center. So I'm enjoying myself, but I didn't intend to run again. You all know me. I've run before, I've won, I've lost, and I wasn't going to run again, but about 100 people reached out to me and said, we need a voice, we love your voice, and we'd like you on the commission. I had to check with my family. It's a little tough when you're running. The family has to all contribute and be part of it. My daughter was thrilled and excited, and so am I. I feel like I accomplished a lot and served the residents well during my time, and I would love it if you would consider me to do it again. Thank you so much, Julie Casal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, and thank you, Michael Cantwell, and to the Delray Democratic Club. I really appreciate the opportunity. I am Nick Capola, and I am a candidate for Commission Seat number 3. I am a retired journeyman electrician and former contractor from Queens, New York. I have been a part-time and full-time resident visiting Delray for over 40 years. I currently serve as the board chair of your code enforcement board, as well as the chair of the Compass Community Center, and vice president and treasurer of my Sherwood Park Civic Association, which is the community that I reside in. I am truly honored to be endorsed by both our police, fire, and our AFL-CIO. I am currently endorsed by 2 former mayors. I am endorsed by Boynton Beach Mayor Ty Penserga, Lake Worth Beach Mayor Betty Resch, as well as endorsed by the Palm Beach County Human Rights Commission. I am running because I am ready to take my passion for public service to a higher level. I will use my experiences as a union member and a union leader a community and nonprofit leader, a city board member, to bring balanced and community-focused approach to city decision-making. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. Tennille?
Didn't know what to do when he stopped early.
So next year, 2 phones and 2 timekeepers.
We have 2 timekeepers.
And you came in 24 seconds left.
Oh.
Give me your time. Okay.
Well, hello. Thank you so much, Michael and the Democratic Party, for having me. I am Tennille DeCoste. Those who don't know me, you know I have a passion for public serving the public. So I've served the public for over 22 years. I worked in government for over 22 years, including the city of Delray Beach. I was the previous HR director and saved this city $1 million. I saved the city of Boynton Beach $1.4 million and city of Miramar $2.2 million. And what does that do? That helps our taxpayers, the residents. One thing you don't know about me, why Delray? I'm running for Delray because Delray saved my life. I am an advocate and I'm also a survivor of domestic violence. I hid in Rainberry Woods for an entire year away from my ex-husband with my 3 children, which my children are wonderful. One works for the CDC. I get secrets before you guys do. One deals with, helps autistic children. And my son, my loving son, who survived the Parkland shooting, thank God. And I want to make sure residents do not go through what I went through because I did not know if my son was dead or alive for 3 hours. And finally I saw him and thank God, and he owns his own solar panel business. So those are the reasons why I'm running. It's important to me that somebody that's on the dais has the experience I do. I know how to save money. I know how to look at budgets. I know how to enforce policy because as an HR director, that's what you do every day. Not only am I Human Resources Director, I also was Assistant Director of Park and Recs and Public Works. So not only do I have operations experience, I have administration experience. Vote for me, Tennille DeCoste, C1.
I appreciate that you're really excited, but nix on that. Please have Jim speak.
Good evening. My name is Jim Chard. I'm running for the seat that Tennille would like to have, C1. And what I bring to the process here is the most experience in Delray. I've been serving Delray for the last 20 years on the City Commission, on the Historic Preservation Board, on the SPRAD Board, and they also not-for-profits like I'm a founding member of Community Greening. I'm a founding member of HPD, Human Powered Delray. We brought millions of dollars into this city. So I have that experience and that knowledge that I don't think anybody else running for this position can touch.
I do.
Are you running for this position?
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
No. Thank you. I'm also a numbers guy. And there are 3 major objectives I have. One is public safety, clean and safe parks, streets, neighborhoods. 2 is fiscal stewardship. I have an MBA from Harvard in finance. And 3 is education. And I'm not going to bore you all with all of those, but let me talk about education. This was delivered to our city commission earlier this week. Village Academy, kindergarten readiness, 31%. Pine Grove Elementary, 32%. Later I'll go to some of these statistics. It's horrible. We shouldn't allow that in this city. And I have a 9-point plan on what to do about that.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to begin the meat of this, which is the questions and the responses. I'm going to remind you again, please, because I do understand that you care about all of this, please don't take time to applaud after each person or whenever. And we have picked this random order, and you have 1 minute to rebut if you choose to. If you don't want to, just look over and we'll go on to the next person. I know my voice is a little weird. And give them the opportunity to speak and show themselves the way they should. Thank you. So Michael, the first question.
Overdevelopment is a concern to many people in Delray. I've not heard a commissioner or a candidate claim to be pro-developer or pro-development. What I hear is that they're in favor of intelligent development. Please identify projects that you consider to have been intelligent, as well as those you believe to have been, shall we say, less than intelligent and in fact harmful. Please also give examples of areas that you believe need intelligent development and what that would involve.
Thank you. Okay, Nick is first on this. Is that working okay?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I haven't heard intelligent development, but I've heard it is responsible development. I've struggled with this question when people ask, are you pro-development or not? Every project needs to be looked at on its individual merits. What it brings to the community and what it doesn't bring to the community. As long as we provide the input to everybody and have... I need to change this.
Yeah.
Turn them all off if they're not using them.
This one better? Okay, let's try it. We seem to lump everything together at development. So each project, if we simply look on its merits, and I learned this from Vice Mayor Boston when he was on the dais, where he mentioned nobody pays attention how many projects are denied. Thousands. So if you're asking me, can I name one project that I think was not intelligent? That's, I wish I had hindsight because, in the beginning everything looks great, so I think I struggle with that question. So in short, I cannot see anything that I don't think was a bad idea. I am very comfortable approaching each project on its individual merits.
Thank you. Julie?
Thank you. Well, I would argue we have some amazing projects in the city. I was thrilled to be part of some of the CRA projects, the Hatcher Building, the Island Cove Building that we just ribbon cut on, 60 affordable housing units. There's a lot to be proud of in Delray. I'll be very frank, I don't feel comfortable giving away taxpayer property. Some of the projects that have come in front of us that I've denied personally, the denial involved the giving away of alleyways, which our comp plan says we should not do ever. So I did not want to do that. I think I did once, but generally speaking, no. One of the projects that I absolutely did not support, voted no, and fought tirelessly against was the Aura project on the corner of Congress and Lake Ida. And the reason for that was twofold. One, there's no way the traffic can come out of that project and get to 95 without having to circle either on Congress or on Atlantic. Two, as someone who rides that road on a daily basis in the morning, my time, I used to spend 5 minutes maybe at the left turn, now I spend 10 to 15 minutes. It's ridiculous, it doesn't work. And last and most important, that property was marked as commercial industrial. That is a critically important land use for our city residents. Our land use is the treasure that we have to hold on to, and when we change it, we should really be conscientious. Changing industrial land use to residential is a mistake, because what happens is you take away a place where certain businesses could be, and then you no longer have the types of business in your city. Eventually they move farther and farther away from where you live, and you can't experience them. So it impacts your quality of life and you don't even realize it. Land use is critically important, and it can, if done correctly, it can increase the value of a city, and done improperly, it can reduce the value. Thank you.
Thank you very much, appreciate that. I'm so sorry about the whole microphone thing.
I don't know what's going on. They both keep bouncing
One
in and
has to
out.
be off and one has to be on. Now, do I get an opportunity for a rebuttal?
I
or-
will do both, yes.
You got 2 more.
So pick them, I put the other one away. And you will just, we tried not to have the sharing thing, but
Right.
we're stuck with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so rebuttal, Nick.
We need,
1 minute, just so you know.
we need to move away of digging our heels in. We need to be open-minded to projects. We need to be open-minded to flexibility. Times change, and that's all it's about. And what I say is to really take each project on its individual merits, okay? To say something's bad, we don't have that luxury to build something and say, well, it didn't work out. We have to take chances. And that's why I really struggle to find one thing that has gone terribly wrong. We have a former mayor wrote a wonderful article called "The Sky is Falling." It seems every time a project comes up in the city, it's the end of the world, and it hasn't happened. So we have some really great things, but don't get me wrong, not everything is perfect. We have so much more to build on. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie?
Thank you so much, and I'd just like to remind the residents that our comprehensive plan is brand new. It was really implemented just a few years ago, and it is our guide. We also have LDRs, land development regulations, that serve as our guide as to how we can grow comfortably and still retain our quality of life. So it is important that whenever a project comes in front of the city commission, residents should know they're coming for an exception to our rules. And that's why we have to look at them critically. It's not about digging your heels in, it's about really doing your due diligence and trying to ascertain what is the impact of this project today, 5 years, and 10 years down the road. And that's an important part of this job. That's an important part of this job, and one that I did very well. Thank you so much.
Good with the microphones, that I have to say, huh? Okay. And now we will have Jim and Tennille speak on the same question. Do you need it again, or are you good with it?
As chair of the Historic Preservation Board, I have to say, that is smart development. We take buildings that may be 7,500 years old, save them, repurpose them, make them more involved with this kind of community and family sizes and everything that the 21st century represents. So if you go through places like Delida or a Marina Historic District or West Settlers, you see houses that have been saved, they've kept the character, and they have provided identity for our neighborhoods. I think that's smart development. A bad development, I think any building that's built on spec and doesn't get filled and is empty for years, that's bad development. And I can point to one on Fifth Avenue, just south of Atlantic, that was built 3 or 4 years ago, across from the Epic Theater. There's never really been a tenant in it. There's one now, but if we are building buildings that aren't used, that the market isn't demanding, that's a problem.
Thank you. Tennille?
Great question. So, bad development means to me that we didn't ask the nonprofits or the residents to the table before we decided what's best for our residents. It's okay, Judy, you'll get it when I'm saying it. So what I'm saying is, when you look at bad development, were the residents involved when we made the decision for this project? I think an amazing development is Pompey Park. This needs a facelift. Finally, we're getting the facelift. Thank you to the current commissioners that are sitting up there now. Were there commissioners that made bad decisions? Absolutely. One example was Sunday Village, and I think, Jim, you were the commissioner at that time, and the historic board denied it, and he approved it. And then because the historic board denied it, We had to go back to the city commission, get it approved, and then go back to the historic board and get it reapproved again. So that's bad decisions, which causes bad development. Currently, it's better now because our commission. So yes, we do have some bad development and we do have good development, but I believe the most important thing is having nonprofits and residents to the table before we approve or make decisions, because it's not fair. We're making decisions as a commission and we're not listening to the voices that should be at the table.
Thank you. Rebuttal time, Jim?
I think my opponent is confusing Sunday House with docks in terms of that vote, but that's okay. I think we do have citizen involvement. We have roughly 21, 22 citizen boards. They can be much more effective. They can be much better staffed. They can be given much more authority. We have that input. But even more importantly, we need to have town hall meetings. We have to have regular input on various issues facing the city, like historic downtown designation. We should have numerous meetings on that. We used to have town hall meetings. I think this administration is putting 4 in place. We should have them every month.
Thank you. Rebuttal, Neil?
Yes. But very clear what I'm speaking about. Of course, you have to research before you open your mouth. As an HR director, you definitely have to do that. Furthermore, yes, we have numerous boards, but what about the residents that don't sit on the board? What about their say-so? What about the ones that they weren't chosen to be on the board? Because you have to get appointed to the board. We have to think about all residents, not just the ones that are appointed to the board. So I don't think, I know John, I mean, not John, sorry, Jim, but thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we begin the answer to the question here for Ryan.
That was a lot for 90 seconds, so I'm gonna try, okay? I'll get 2 minutes. I'll get 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
So first of all, name me another comparable coastal city that has done a better job than Delray Beach managing growth over the last 5 years. Get with me afterwards, because I've been to a lot of them. It's not Boca, it's not Boynton, it's not West Palm, it's not Fort Lauderdale, it's not Naples, it's not Bradenton, it's not St. Petersburg. I think one person mentioned to me a little beach town just north of Jacksonville with like 17,000 people in it. Maybe they've done a good job. Nice little town. No height waivers, no density waivers. We've kept those limits. We lowered the height on Atlantic Avenue from 4 stories to 3 stories. We're doing an Atlantic Historic Overlay District. I sponsored the ordinance to bring the massing and size down on the barrier island. We put something in place. We couldn't get rid of it, but we put something in place where modern architecture and Art Deco architecture now has to go an additional step in front of the commission to try to curb the use of those architectural styles. Bad development, what that looks like, is what happened on Linton. Linton had no plan. And the commission before me, on a road that already had a Target and a Home Depot and a Home Goods and a Publix, they approved a Whole Foods, a Trader Joe's, a whole new shopping center, a Chick-fil-A, a Starbucks. That was bad planning. Matter of fact, I can't even say it's bad planning because there was no plan. Smart development, taking the old Office Depot corporate that was off our tax books, that were sitting there empty, and putting a mixed-use project there that only built 60% to what it could have built, included 20% workforce housing, mix of townhomes, mix of apartments, a little bit of commercial in there, but not too much. That is smart development.
Thank you. Shirley.
First of all,
Yeah.
let me apologize. I did not intend to interrupt. I just couldn't control myself. He kept saying 20 years, 20 years. I've done 30. Anyhow, development. That has been the topic of Delray Beach since I returned home. There have been developers who've come in with ideas that were monstrosities, and the city fought it. And after 10 years of lawsuits, they were ruled against. The project went forward. Atlantic Crossing is a prime example. There have been developments that we're a little rocky, but we think it's going to plug a hole in the heart of Delray Beach, and that's Sunday Village. I'm looking forward to it because the developer is a wonderful developer. He's done all kinds of things. He's been interested in the ideas of the neighbors, the commissioners, etc. Now, the development that my opponent talked about, all of the neighbors, I would say, were against it, but it was voted continuously, and now it's in development. We don't know how it's going to end up. Let's hope it's going to be good. All development has to be considered. The landowner, the developer, they have rights. Sometimes the city tries to stop them, and it evolves into a lawsuit. I don't know the answers. The one that Commissioner Cassell talked about, I thought it was going to be a wonderful thing. They're always talking about housing in the area. We gave them conditional use because they gave us low-income, affordable housing. I don't know if it's going to disrupt the traffic. I'm hoping not. I don't know the capacity right now, but I haven't seen a very great interruption in the traffic. It will tell. I have nothing else to say about that. Is if you don't develop sensibly, the city will die. Thank you.
Thank you. So rebuttal time, Ryan?
Thank you.
1 minute.
So when we approved Parks at Delray, actually, I just want to stand up for the residents around there. They didn't come out and say no. They came out and said yes, but. And they had a lot of concerns, and we made adjustments to that project for ingress and egress. And Ms. Johnson voted for it. I voted for it, and we moved forward. And it's an important project in our city. It's going to add to our tax roll. So I think that's important. But probably the smartest development, honestly, that we've done is the one we cut the ribbon on this past week. Was that yesterday? Sorry, my days are running together. It was 60 more affordable homes that are being added to 274 total affordable homes that have been built, not approved and planned. We have hundreds more approved and planned. Built during, I'll say, our time. During our time up on the commission. And that project used very little taxpayer subsidies. Very little. We used federal dollars, state dollars, CRA dollars, and private sector funds.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're on to question 2. Oh, I'm sorry. I do.
Okay, now I would just like to say that I know people don't like development. Everyone likes to have everything stay the same, but we can't do that, unfortunately. There are people who've come down since COVID. They love Delray, the village by the sea. And what do? They put up huge rectangular houses that have nothing to do with Village by the Sea. But because they're in the parameters of the ordinances, there's very little we can do. So sometimes you want to invite people in, but we can't stop some of the things that happen because they have rights. And when we take away the rights of everybody, then we're not a democracy. So all we can do is try our best, change our ordinances, and do whatever we can to stop the kind of things we don't like and have the input of the community as often as possible. But unfortunately, we can't always be successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have question 2 that Bob Averack is going to read.
Thank you, Sharon. Good evening, candidates. We've, not surprisingly, another development question and regarding a term that has been used already tonight. Many projects are defended on the grounds that they provide housing for the local workforce. Who is the local workforce, for example? Does it include restaurant staff, store clerks, city workers? What are their average earnings? Would their earnings support the rents being charged? And what percentage of the units are set aside for this workforce? Are members of the workforce actually living in these apartments?
Okay, so we begin this with Tennille and Jim after.
Hello? Okay, so that's a 5-10 minute answer. So yeah, affordable housing is extremely important. I don't even work for the city anymore, and I tell you, the blue collar employees still call me to this day, and they are the lowest paid individuals, and they carry the back of the city for the city of Delray Beach. So yes, they can't afford the rent here. Affordable housing, the workforce, I mean, I think it's a great thing what our commission did currently with Island Cove. There's only 60 units. It's just a start. Going forward, we need to build more. We do not have enough. Average probably 35,000, 45,000 if you're lucky for salary, which is horrible for especially the lower level employees. And it does include the small businesses and their employees, because you know they come to work here and they would love to live here. Who wouldn't want to live, work, and play in Delray Beach? That's my dream. I live here, I'm gonna work here, and I play here. We go to dinner almost every night downtown, all the time in our golf cart because there's no parking because of traffic. But I'm off, might digress. But yes, there are issues. We do not have enough workforce. We do not have enough affordable housing. We even have people, unfortunately the seniors, are losing their homes because of property insurance, because of everything. It's gonna come to the point that we're gonna have more homeless people than we can help. So we need to make a change.
Thank you. Jim?
I think affordable housing is defined these days.
It's okay. You can hear it.
Can we start talking?
Just bring them close to you.
Affordable housing is defined as something in the neighborhood of $200,000, $250,000. I remember when affordable housing was more like $25,000. And when we say that, there are really only certain income segments that can afford that. And there are tiers below that. There are other housing models than workforce or affordable. As the question implies, police and fire and teachers and health workers can sometimes do the affordable. But we have a lot of our teachers that work in the city and go all the way to Jupiter or Sebastian every day because they can't find affordable housing. But I'm also worried about those people that can only afford $500 or $600 a month in rent. And in order to do that, you really have to have a whole different housing approach. Our comprehensive plan sort of uses the Obama approach, all of the above. We've talked about quadruplexes, duplexes, mother-in-law houses, trailers, and congregate living. So I think all of those solutions are necessary, not only for workforce, but low income as well.
And rebuttal?
We agree on this.
So you don't need to rebut? Either of you?
I'm good.
You're good, okay? I'm crossing you off there.
Can I save the rebuttal for later?
Okay, Shirley, and then Ryan on this question.
Very good. The low-income and affordable housing changes with the demographics and with the incomes, the salaries. We will never, ever, I believe, have enough housing to provide for all those who are in need. My heart bleeds for those who find themselves homeless, who find themselves out of work and can't afford wherever they were living in the neighborhood or the community and must leave it. I don't have the answer to all of it. The only thing I can do when we have someone, a developer, who might come in and want an exceptional use or conditional use, we ask, what are you going to do to help us with our housing situation? I have a great idea that the county has a great deal of land next to the train station out here, the Tri-Rail. They have a lot of land out there. And sometimes I think the county doesn't step forward to do the kinds of things they can do. And all of the pressure is put on the city. Unfortunately, I think it should be a shared thing. I think the state should be giving more money for housing. And the national HUD tries very hard through the public housing. Something I found out yesterday, those 60 homes we've been bragging about in Island Cove, I met a couple who aren't even from Delray. Now, they're all the way from Riviera Beach. Does that mean that whoever was accepting the application said you have to live in Delray? I doubt it. it was probably because the county gave some money, Del Rey gave some money, but what was the formula? I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan?
So I'll just start by that's not legal. We can't give affordable homes just to people living in Delray Beach. I sat on affordable housing board for almost 3 years. As a matter of fact, we have our chair there in the back, Miss Andrea Bruton, and that board went from meeting 3 times a year, which is the absolute minimum, to meeting 13 times that first year, 13 times in 1 year. My opponent didn't like that so much. He wasn't very supportive of the Affordable Housing Committee meeting that often, but we had to. We had to because we had to go through every single one of our policies and update it. Today, that policy is used across the state as a model for every single one of the cities. So the state Affordable Housing Committee uses it as a model. And that's to keep people in their homes. That's how to use our SHIP funds, which continues to grow, by the way, coupled with our CRA funds for home improvement, which has grown by 300%, which Ms. Johnson did support with me. We have to use all the tools. We have to use all the tools. So when we talk about workforce housing, the 20% that we give when we give our density bonus, we're not allowed to say, you should give us 50, you should give us 80. We're restricted from doing that. We can do 20%, 0 taxpayer dollars, but we don't really get it low enough, do we? That's the downside. The upside, 0 taxpayer dollars, no subsidies. Then we have all the way on the other side, where we do get nice, to the low wages, we do get it lower, but it's a lot of taxpayer dollars to get it there, right? There's pros and cons. There's not one that's better than the other. We need them all right now. And just like I said the other day, when we were cutting the ribbon on those 60 new homes, I said we get to celebrate today. Just like a coach in the playoffs. We got the NFL playoffs going. You celebrate today because tomorrow it's back to work. My team doesn't get to say that. They're the Miami Dolphins. They have a long time to work. But we get back. We don't get to really celebrate much longer because the need is so high. We get back to work tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay, and rebuttal?
Yes, thank you. Is this working? Yes, okay. My objection to the committee was not as it was presented, and I'm not going to go into it now. If you'd like to hear my answer later, I'll give it to you. Again, housing is tantamount. Do you want us to turn into Boynton, where we have 40-story buildings? But if you want to keep your quaint village by the sea, we're going to be limited as to what we can do. I'd like to see the state stop raiding the housing funds for about in order to, I get another couple seconds, in order to balance the budget. They are using our funding that's designated for housing to balance the state budget. Now, if you want to get into what can we do, let's start pressuring those who are serving us at our state level so that we can have more money, so that we can develop properties. And when the developers are allowed to build gigantuan developments west, State Road 7 and the Turnpike, and they build up chits that the county says, well, now you've got to develop affordable low-income housing, and they've got nowhere to go, then they come to the cities and try to pressure us to give them time.
Thank you.
And space. Thank you.
Okay, and the final, Julie.
Can I just rebut?
I'm sorry, I crossed you off. I crossed you off, so no. Yeah, no, go ahead.
What we need to be is innovative, and we need to take opportunities when they are provided to us. I pleaded with my CRA board members to purchase the old Plamosa site where we could have put 50 homes when it was available, when it was for sale, when it was only $5 million. It's more than double that now, and the school district has changed their mind and say we're not getting rid of any land, which is actually a smart move. I got to applaud them for that. But there was this moment where we could have acquired it, and unfortunately, my opponent wasn't on my side and didn't jump on that. You got to jump on it. But the good news is, this year we're doing an overlay district from the set transformation plan to look at diversity in housing. We're looking at ADUs, we're looking at duplexes, quadplexes, micro units. We have to get innovative with our thinking, and that plan is community driven, which is important for any housing changes.
Thank you. Okay, sorry for the mess up there. Julie. It's not okay.
Thank you. I thank you for this question. It's important because I think a lot of people realize we have a very high amount of low-paying jobs in the city of Delray Beach, restaurant-style jobs, health workers, and the like. There is the Hometown Hero program that helps give preference to police, fire, and teachers. But it's not enough. We're not even close to meeting the needs, and it's very unfortunate. I would agree with a lot of what Commissioner Boylston said, and I was proud to be the person who championed the LDR change to look for diverse housing types in our LDRs. I worked on the comp plan, and that was one of the suggestions of the comp plan, so I carried that as a commissioner. What that'll do is it'll allow accessory dwelling units, cottage homes, tiny homes, but that's almost more attainable than affordable. If you want to think about it, is, you know, what's workforce, what's affordable, what's attainable. And there are different levels. One of the concerns I've had about some of the development that we experience is a lot of what we're seeing in workforce housing is at the moderate level. So we're not meeting the needs of the people at the low level at all. And I slightly disagree, respectfully though, Commissioner Boylston, when when someone's coming in front of us for an application, they meet with us individually and they present the project and they say, what are your thoughts? You can always throw out there, I need to see more low level. It doesn't hurt to ask. And you can always deny a project. So if the suggestion is, this is what our need is in the city and we're accepting of this project, you can often get it. Some of these developments that are providing this moderate level workforce housing have these a la carte menus on top of their rent. So even though the rent falls into that category of moderate, there's a fee for garbage disposal, bugs, sorry, all kinds of fees.
Thank you. Even I got scared. Nick.
Great. I want to go back to the question. It was about workforce housing and the enforcement. I promise to not only hold developers accountable to those workforce housing, because that's the question I have. How do we know, once the incentives are given for workforce housing, who follows up on that? And it's a fair question. That's the one thing I want to make sure that we track to make sure that continues. And I'd like to see extended for an indefinite period of time. Now, as far as workforce housing, it's important, and we've all mentioned it here. We have police and fire traveling to Jupiter and up in Stewart. Think about it. If we can keep them here, the money stays in Delray. It's very simple math to me, and I mean, I'm not a politician. This is my first time as a candidate. But if we keep our workers here, make it affordable to them, make it fair to them, give proper incentives to the developers, incentivize them to build more affordable housing and workforce housing, and follow up on who's living in these workforce housing. It's important to keep the money in Delray. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie, rebuttal? No? And do you want more time? You can have a minute. Oh my God.
It's actually, I'd like to see us take more advantage of what's going on Congress. I believe there are plenty of opportunities there for housing, affordable housing. And I know Jim mentioned, you know, we have a demographic here of folks. There was a conversation living below $35,000 a year. You can't live in Delray Beach on that. Do we have a problem? But this, unfortunately, is at a national level. It's at a state level. It's at a county level. But as a city, we could figure something out.
Thank you. So question 3, Michael? Did I mess something up? They were first. Yeah. Are you thinking I messed it up? Come on.
I'll be glad to talk to them.
Okay. And I worked hard on my grid, too. Go ahead.
So, there's been considerable development in Delray Beach since the original settlers arrived here over a century ago in the area that some refer to as the Set. And many of their descendants still live there and have concerns with respect to the development of their community. if elected or re-elected, what is your plan for addressing those concerns?
And we begin this with Ryan.
We have to listen to the community. While I've been on the commission, I have stood up for the adoption of the SET transformation plan. Well, I didn't just stand up for it, I fought for the adoption of the SET transformation plan, which was held hostage for years because of political reasons. You saw the SET banners that were taken down. You saw a lot of the initiatives weren't followed up on. So I'm going to continue, which just recently I got a consensus from my commission to do exactly what the community is asking for, which is an update to the SET transformation plan. To go through that plan, look through the initiatives, look what's been done, what hasn't been done, and then to go through it and reprioritize it. So we are bringing on a consultant. We're hoping to bring back the same consultant who did such a fantastic job of putting that plan together. But here's what's most important about that plan. It's a plan not just for our city, but it's a plan for our CRA, which used to be independent, by the way. I did not vote to take over the CRA, but now I'm on the CRA as well as a commissioner. And this plan talks about wealth building. CRAs have gentrified, whether on purpose or on accident, many communities across our country. If you do not put in programs with the concrete that you're building, you're just going to gentrify. And for example, we're going to get a $40 million community center. Who's not going to want to live next to the new $40 million Pompey Park Community Center, right? So I've been looking at ways, and if you look at the SET transformation plan, you know, it says, yeah, you know what, if your whole life isn't here, you might sell that house and you might cash out, right? But if your job is here, if your kids go to school here, if you own your little business down the road off of 5th and you get to walk there every day and your whole life's here, then you're going to stay here. We can't just be building concrete. It's nice for politicians to be able to look at it and say, I built that.
Thank you. Shirley.
Thank you. I think I have been miscategorized about my opposition to some of the things in the SET transformation plan. When we did our comprehensive plan the last time, practically everything in the SET transformation plan was adopted. And because we chose not to have one particular part of it that said the entire plan was going to be directed by a select group of people, we got the reputation of having not adopted the plan. So again, that's something that should be aside. I'd like to remind the commissioner, I believe he did vote to have the CRA become, yes, instead of it being independent, you were just there, you didn't want to, but you did. The only reason I say that is because it was unanimously voted on, and once we did that, funds started flowing west of Swinton Avenue.
Not true.
Well,
Excuse me?
Sorry.
You talk.
Okay, thank you very much. We can have a one-on-one afterwards. I'd be happy to stay as long as they'll let us. And meetings afterwards. Anyway, we are not against the SET transformation plan. I repeat, not against the SET transformation plan. I grew up in the Northwest section. I like to say that I grew up in the Northwest section. It's just me. If we want to change the name and it's unanimous with the community, then fine. I'm just one commissioner. But we did vote for the SET transformation plan. So, once again, I am not allowed to voice my opinion because of lack of respect. I respect everyone with the exception of Commissioner, I'm sorry, with Mr.
Excuse
Charlie.
me, please. That's not appropriate.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so rebuttal time. Brian?
So I just want to correct the record. I was the standalone commissioner that voted not to take over the CRA. And I even pleaded with my colleagues because it was taking over in a non-agenda item. It was done at the end of the meeting in comments. I said, well, if you are going to do this, please at least have a workshop, have a conversation about it, put a plan in place. Did you know that we didn't meet for months as a CRA because our legal team, our attorneys were running around going, what just happened? How does the city commission all of a sudden become the CRA? We went months without meeting because they didn't know how to meet. They didn't know what we just did. It's the same thing that happened with Old School Square. Not an agenda item, no workshop, no plan in place, just decision made.
Thank you.
Is there?
Shirley, you have a minute if you'd like it.
Okay, I'm so glad these items are coming up because I didn't know how I was going to get them in there. Perhaps Commissioner Wilson, thank you, is correct. I stand corrected. However, before you got there, we had had discussions about the disharmony between the commission and the CRA. For over a year, I watched how the CRA was not doing what it was supposed to do. It was partisan, and each group of interest or interest group in the city had a representative on the commission. It was not working. The money was stuck east of Swinton. None of it was coming to the west. And once we took it over, we started sending the money and trying to develop West Atlantic Avenue. I'm sorry you weren't there and were not participating. As far as what happened with Old School Square, that's more than 1 minute or 2 minutes of a rebuttal. It has been going on for at least 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you all. I do see that people are getting a little agitated, so I just want to again remind you it needs to stay at a certain level. This is a professional debate. You're entitled to their time and not outside comments. Thank you. Okay, same question, Nick.
As you know, this is my first time as a candidate. I had the pleasure of reading the set transformation plan. Answer this question. 933 acres of this city has not shared the success of the rest of the city. That's a question we have to ask. And I think it's fair. I would support the set transformation plan. I think it's long due. When I walk in Delray Beach, and I could walk 2 blocks and just see a very clear distinction and difference, it should concern us all. And that's the question we need to ask, is why? Why is it taking so long? So I support it, and I think it's about coming to the table. And to Ryan's point, when I learned about even banners being removed, we're talking about respecting a community. That's what it's about. And if we can't respect a community, we're not going to get the respect of that community. So I promise to not only sit at the table with you, I will sit next to you at the table.
Thank you. Julie.
Oh gosh, here we go. Okay, thank you. So I was elected, and I believe one of my, or close to my first meeting, was to vote on the, what was called the West Atlantic Redevelopment Plan, formerly the SET Plan. The name had changed prior to my getting elected. I reviewed the plan in its entirety, and it was lengthy, approximately 300 pages. Came to my first meeting with a bunch of tags on the pages to ask a lot of questions. Ultimately, they were answered, and I voted that in, and I do support it. The CRA does a great job in the city, and I am super proud of the work that the CRA did in my time that I served. A lot of money has gone into the city, approximately $28 million, and you can see things happening. Was it too slow? Yes, I agree. Anybody who says it's too slow, it's way too slow. We sat for years on the project, the 600, 700, 800 block. I was thrilled to be a part of that project, and Ryan and I voted to continue on, and it was voted down, and it did not happen. After that, somebody was hired to go and look at what's the best use of that property. There is limited space in Delray Beach, so utilizing it properly is critically important. And hopefully that study will determine what's the best use, and I hope that the CRA, hopefully me at the time sitting there, enacts some kind of plan to get those projects moving. When you get off the highway in Delray Beach and you drive down Atlantic Avenue, it's remarkably unattractive. And that should change. And I don't disagree that it hasn't been served well, and I hope you vote for me because I would like to do that.
Thank you. Excuse me, Nick. Yeah. I would give you your time. You can trust me.
Let's ask this question. Why is there not a grocery store in the set? Why? You know, let's start there. I mean, these are conversations we can keep saying, you know, kick the can down, well, get me elected and then I'll do it. We've heard that before. We've heard that before. Let's pay attention to what's going on. To have that conversation with the grocery store, I just could not understand it. To have a food desert, basically less than walking time from our downtown is a problem. And this is unfair to the community. Everybody should share in the successes of Delray Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie?
Yes, thank you. I think it's a little explanation is required as to why there isn't actually a food store. When we were working on the BH3 project, BH3 was having trouble getting a grocer. And they never provided us a letter that said they had engaged with the grocer, but they wanted the city to transfer the property. And now the good news is the city owns the property, the city could engage itself with a grocer, and probably should have right after that plan fell through and had the grocer in there by now, because I know there was a grocer who was interested. So it's doable. I'm no longer sitting on the CRA board, but I think that could be done immediately if they wanted to.
Thank you. Okay, same question. Jim?
When I first came to Delray, one of the first things I saw was the blight between Atlantic, I-95 and Swinton, and I wondered why. This was probably the community that was first founded in Delray. African Americans came here, Bahamian Americans came here, before European Americans came here. They built this city in many, many different ways. And to have that blight, basically in the middle of our city, basically from about 5th Avenue down to 10th, 12th Avenue, for over 20 years, that's unacceptable. We shouldn't allow that to happen. And to try to take the name of the set away from the community, who specifically chose that to identify their history, their interest in the families that have been there for generations, that's just wrong. I was on the comprehensive plan initially. We had the name in the comprehensive plan. Without going into names, the city commission took that name out and called it something else because they were worried about governance. I'm trained as a city planner. I have a master's in city planning. This was an amazing plan. To have a professional planner and the community working together to do that. The other thing is, CRA is defined as eliminating blight. Well, in my mind, the CRA has done some good things, but they've also contributed to blight. And they're really, what their plan should be, to build the economy, economic development, jobs, entrepreneurship. They've done none of that.
Thank you. Tania?
So yes, like I said in the beginning, you know, when you don't bring the community to the table, you see what happens. There's only development east of Swinton, where the black and brown, let's be real, is being ignored. I don't know if you know this, but there's actually 6 pillars in the set transformation plan, which I support. And it's not just all about development, it's about civic duty, it's about health, it's about wealth. It's about all of that into the community. So it's not just about development long term, it's more about the residents and development. If you really tore apart the transformation plan and really looked at it, you would know there's 6 pillars to this plan, and it's amazing. And I was there during the meetings when we were called WARC as an HR director because I was so into this community. I was there when they were hanging up the set banners, which were amazing. Big thing, and then to be torn down, And I'm sorry, if you were a city commissioner sitting up there and you approved that, or you were for it, I'm sorry, you should not be reelected and you should not be sitting up here running for office. Because if you can support the east of Swain, you need to support west of Swain.
Thank you. Okay, rebuttal? At least with microphone.
We agree on that, but I wanted to extend my thoughts about jobs and economic development in the set. We have a lot of kids, and I want to tie this to education. We have a lot of kids that graduate from Atlantic High that are neither job ready nor college ready. We should have a program that leads them into jobs in their neighborhood that are vocational skills, that are in high demand, high pay, good benefits, rather than focusing on just blight and this strip that has been so taken away from the identity of African American people that we had restaurants, we had clubs, we had dances. None of that exists today because, in substantial part because of the CRA.
So we can agree with this, Jim. I will say, we do have, actually I disagree a little. We do have a program because I work closely with EJS with children of color. And because of my HR background, I go in there and I train how to write a resume, how to interview. And actually I certified them to be a certified resume writer. And also I go into Atlantic High School when Jamel was the head coach there. And I trained all their, which is really unfortunate when you think about it, that a high school person in 12th grade did not know what a resume was and how to write it, and they're about to graduate. That is scary. So there is a plan, and I made an announcement this morning at the Elders Breakfast that I'm also bringing a program, apprenticeship program, to the city of Delray Beach that it's paid for, they get trained, and they're paying about $30 an hour. You don't have to have a high school diploma or anything. This is why I'm the better candidate, because I'm going to bring programs like this to our residents.
Thank you. I'm just taking a minute because I'm looking out at you guys and I'm feeling a little tired too. And everybody out there looks like, oh, put me to sleep. So we know these are important questions and that's why we have the candidates giving their time to do it. Thank you all for staying and staying up. Okay, question 4, Bob.
Okay, mic is working.
I got the best one.
Absolutely. In the answer to the previous question, I heard a couple of references to our jewel at Swinton and Atlantic, Old School Square, and it was said, gee, I wish I had more time to cover that. Guess what, guys? Now's your chance. The lawsuit against Old School Square was dropped after the composition of the City Commission changed following last year's elections. Do you agree with that decision? And what would you like to see done with Old School Square?
Okay, and we begin with Julie.
Thank you. Well, many of you know that I was one of the votes to terminate, and listen, there are parts of that that I really regret. I wished that on that evening there was the item came up. We knew a lot more information than the public did. Years of failure to provide documentation to show where the taxpayers' money is going. The CRA cut them off from any additional funding and was concerned about PPP improprieties. There was a lot of information that the Commission and CRA had that the residents did not have. It was a very tense situation going on. I was meeting with the representatives from Old School Square outside of and asking them to please just get the finances in order. I ran on fiscal responsibility. The finances need to be in order. This is a big problem. Everybody I talked to said, you know, I'm not really that involved anymore. I met with Francis, I met with Scott Porton. I couldn't get an answer as to what was going on, and the more we dug, the more problematic it became. The CRA director informs us on the day of that meeting that there are 3 auditors that disengaged because the books don't reconcile. It's a red flag. Should I have waited, had it on the public agenda, and let all of you residents hear everything the staff was saying to us? Yes, I wished I had. That's my biggest regret in the 3 years that I served Delray Beach. Because if residents knew what I knew, they would have appreciated the decision, but they didn't. And then I left that meeting, contacted Scott Porton by phone. I said, we're friends. I want to meet with you. We have to figure out how to move forward with this. We had agreed to have coffee. The next day, I got a notice from the city attorney, do not engage at all, because there is a notice of intent to litigate. That cut off any communication. On the evening I made the vote, I'm sorry, if I may get one more second, I said...
Only a second.
Okay, 1 second, thank you. I did say, if they provided the documents, I would reconsider. Thank you.
Nick, you can have an extra.
With all due respect, the regret is costing us over $5 million and counting. This is something, we don't have time for regret. We don't have the money for regret. This should have been properly noticed. I chair a nonprofit. I chair a nonprofit that services 25,000 people a year. This expectation of infallibility is not acceptable. When there was a problem, if all the parties at the city would have sat down with the old school square, it could have been resolved, and I guarantee you it would have been resolved. Now, what do they say? The horse is out of the stable. The Crescent Theater may be open, it's not generating any money. The other old school square had the opportunity to raise funds outside the city. The Downtown Development Authority, their hands are tied. So now the burden falls on us. So to say that residents know and don't support, every resident I speak to do not support the closing of Old School Square and how it was handled. I have yet to speak to one person who agrees.
Thank you.
Rebuttal? Thank you so much. Well, I would disagree because there have been surveys done by Friends of Delray and residents are thrilled. The place is operating better than ever, and the renovations to the Crest Theater are almost complete with $1.3 million in the CIP budget for that. So that money, and by the way, with respect to the lawsuit was to recover damages from when the tenants moved out, there were damages. The lawsuit was also to recover approximately 175 pieces of artwork that are no longer in the residents' hands, but are gone. Chihuli's, Highwaymen, and other artwork that belonged to the residents that was donated to the residents. That's what the litigation was about.
Yeah.
This is the problem. It's going on and on, rather than coming to a resolution. That's what we need to do. We need to move past where we were and figure out how to make this happen. Rather than go back to blame why it happened, we need to figure out how to move forward.
May I rebut a rebuttal?
No.
Thank you.
You all will have a minute in closing remarks, and if something didn't get said that you wanted to say, you could do it then. Okay, Tennille.
So let me first say, working in government for over 22 years, it's common sense. You bring it to the table, you talk through it, you work it out, because you do not want to waste the taxpayers' money. It's a shame. I honestly applaud the commission that settled this lawsuit, and I believe it was Ryan, Rob, and Adam Frankel, if I'm not mistaken. I applaud them. Angel, sorry, Ms. Burns, I am so sorry, Commissioner, forgive me. I'm sorry, Commissioner. Love you dearly. So yes, I applaud them. I think it's horrible what happened to Old School Square. I would love to see more programs. You know, we want to see more stuff in Delray. We are the village by the sea. Everybody knows Delray. I'm telling you, working at Boynton, they're jealous of us. Other cities want to be like Delray. We have set the standards here. So whoever, which I know who did, and no disrespect, made that decision, it was a horrible decision. It was horrible, and they didn't listen to the residents. And again, working for government for over 22 years, common sense, you bring them to the table. That cuts down on litigation, and it saves our taxpayers money.
Thank you. Jim?
Thank you, Tennille. I've been waiting for this moment for 3 years. I've been wanting to tell two ex-commissioners the real truth. They sat up there on the dais for month after month after month, making up stuff. On August 10th, 2021, I joined the board of Old School Square because of what those commissioners did. It cost the city a fortune and canceled programs and canceled tickets and classrooms for art, and that dress theater is not ready. There's another $3 million to do the theater. They did the classrooms. That's the easy part. And to say that there was negotiation going on with certain people at Old School Square, that isn't true. There were conversations, and then those people turned away. One of them up here turned away from me. One of the others accused me of hiding an audit. All of the audits have been submitted. One of them was late. Second one was almost late. And those same auditors who said they couldn't balance the books, well, we got another auditor and they did balance the books. And then the commission asked the so-called city auditor, who's no longer with us, to do an audit. She did a slapdash report, and if you go back and watch the videos, she said, a pox on both your houses. The city commission didn't remember that.
Okay, and rebuttal, Tennille? Okay, you both agree. So we can now move on to Shirley.
I must live in an alternative world. Half of what I just heard, I know nothing about. I sat on each of the CRA board meetings. I was on the city commission meetings. I met with the attorney for the city. I tried to meet with the city manager, who was no help. I tried to meet with anyone who was interested in discussing the issue. When I came on board in 2017, the Old School Square issue was not on my agenda. Knew nothing about it. It seemed to be rolling along quite well. However, in 2018, once we took the commission, took control of the CRA, we found out that millions and millions of dollars was going towards the Center for the Arts group to run the Old School Square property. I talked about accountability as I was unfortunately not watching the time and was cut off, couldn't talk about it. You have to be accountable when you are operating city property. We are under the aegis of state rules and regulations. The CRA was admonished by the state for not keeping good control over our nonprofits. They were running rapid, and they were taking money from CRA projects that should have been directed towards rehabbing the properties that you now call blighted in the Northwest, Southwest. So if anyone wants to go back and do a dig deep as to what was going on with the CRA, what was going on at Old School Square, unaccountability, uncontrollable actions between the city and that property owner. We even had someone who said he owned the property and got permits to build on things that we had knew nothing about.
Thank you.
So somebody needs to look into
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
Brian?
What happened with Old School Square?
Who knows?
This one's a tough one because it's sad. I mean, you know, Ms. Cassell, you said it's better than ever. It is not. It is not. And I'll post it later today. You look at the catalog from 2018 and 19, before we were interrupted by the pandemic, and look how much was going on that campus. I was a part of it. I was going to shows. I was volunteering. What happened was a travesty. Now, one thing that I want to make very clear, it was a 7-0 vote. I voted for it, Ms. Johnson voted, Ms. Cassell voted, 7-0 across the board to take away the funding of $750,000 a year, the CRA funding. We're held, if we want to utilize any CRA dollars for nonprofits, which we do, it was Spady or a library or historic society, we are held to something called an A guide. It's very strict, and the state doesn't even like that we have that program, and so they watch it very closely. And guess what? Old School Square didn't have everything buttoned up to make sure that we weren't a liability and that the state wasn't going to come after us, right? 7-0 across the board. So you were about to see Old School Square, which it's about a $3 million operation, run in your city, a cultural arts center with a museum and a theater and a pavilion and an event space and classrooms. You were about to see it run with 0 taxpayer dollars. Didn't you want to see that? I wanted to see that. They were going to go raise that extra $750,000 during a time, by the way, there's a lot of money coming into Delray Beach. I think they were going to do it. We'd probably have the only arts and culture venue of its kind running without any subsidies from the taxpayers. We were about to see that. But instead, they were kicked out of the building. They were kicked out of the building with 100 people standing outside wanting to comment, and I pleaded with my colleagues. I'm like, hey, if you don't change your mind, that's fine. But at least let them talk. At least hear the community.
Thank you. Shirley, would you like a minute to rebut?
Certainly, a minute is not going to be long enough, but I will just say this. We were talking about this situation from 2018 until 2021. If this was something that they had the ability to do, why didn't they do it? Why did they push us and push us and push us to the point where we had to say enough is enough? You can't get an audit in 3 or 4 years. The state is breathing down the CRA's neck. Do we want to end our CRA over this? I think not. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian?
That's why the vote on the CRA was unanimous on the funding, just to reiterate that. The reason I say travesty is it's not because of all the volunteers that were hurt. It's not because that building was closed for 2 years and still remains closed. It's not even that it's costing us millions of dollars, millions of dollars to get that up and running again. Look at the distraction it was for 2 years. Distraction to our staff. So when you go around and you're at one of our parks and you're wondering why that didn't get done at the park, or why that didn't get painted, or why that didn't get fixed, it's because we went to Parks and Rec and said, hey, you guys take care of Old School Square now. We don't know what this cost us. This cost us more than just those millions. This cost us citywide. This decision cost us. But did you notice that after it was made, that I didn't hold a grudge, right? We moved forward with the DDA. I didn't say, no, I'm not going to vote for the DDA to take over because No, the decision was made. I didn't like it, but we moved forward.
Thank you.
And that's very important.
Okay, so we are done with the questioning, and we are at closing statements. They are 1 minute per candidate. There's no rebuttal time, but this is your moment to stick the jab in of whatever you will. Sorry, I live in Westfield. What do I know? Okay, we're going to begin with Jim.
Well, I'm trying to stand up here and see, do I want to go negative or do I want to talk about the positive? So I'm going to do both. I first of all want to agree with the former commissioner that yes, she does live in an alternative universe. But more importantly are our kids and grandkids. Our kids that are going to school where the results are abysmal. There are ways that the city should get involved. We shouldn't let the county take care of our kids and grandkids. It should be the city's responsibility. We have an ed board. We have a mechanism called an interlocal agreement where we can control what happens in our own schools and to our own kids. And we can build on what the not-for-profits are doing for our kids in after school and other programs.
Thank you
very much.
Tennille?
So that's a taste of how he speaks to staff, and it's on video. And that should not be sitting up there on the dais. I think that was uncalled for and unprofessional, and that is a woman. Let's get it right. Number one, I'm Tennille DeCoste. You know my story. 22 years serving in the government. He may think he has more experience than me. I have to disagree. I used to work as an HR director here. I know the ins and outs of Delray Beach. Not only that, I still get calls 7 years later from residents and also employees asking for my help because I left a mark here. Plus, I saved the city $1 million. Not only that, I'm the candidate that when I win this election, I'm not going to wait 6 months later and run again and lose my seat because I'm not worried about the residents, I'm worried about my ego. So I am the candidate that you should vote for seat 1. Thank you.
Ryan?
Can we do a break?
See, we're out of order.
Just jumping.
It's random, it's random.
I like it. Listen, come March 19th.
Excuse me?
There's a big difference in regards to commission seat and the mayor seat, and experience matters. I'm the only mayor candidate in Delray Beach's history that sat 6 years on the DDA, 6 years on the CRA, and 6 years as a city commissioner. I'm the only candidate in history that has shadowed every single one of our department heads, spent a day with each one of them. I also now go to work once a quarter in an entry-level position. So I've done park maintenance, I've done water and sewage, water treatment. But most importantly, I am a power giver, not a power taker. I'm about empowering staff, empowering the community, and that's why I'm endorsed by, get ready, Lori Berman, Joe Casello, Bobby Powell, Erica Whitfield, Maria Sachs, Matt Bernard, Javante Edmonds, Ann Gannon, our former chief Trevorrow Sims, our police union, our fire union, SEIU, AFL, and CIO. Good?
That could be a song, don't you think?
I'll make this work out.
That's right. Shirley?
Here's what I found. What's that?
That's my watch.
She's everywhere.
Anyway, thank you. I'm going to start my time too. I would just like to say that all of these issues are going to take more than 1 minute, 2 minutes, etc. If any of you would like to have a one-on-one with me, a group discussion, please take down my telephone number. I'd love to tell you my side of my universe. 561-306-4062. I'm not on the commission now, and I have plenty of time to speak with you. I'd love to tell you what my impression of all of these things were. I would like to say I'm at it. Accountability, transparency, integrity, and truthfulness. A lot of that wasn't here tonight. I'd love to set it straight, in my opinion. I also would like to say that I am for diversity, equity, and internal inclusion, whatever it means to you. Vote for Shirley Johnson, March 19th. Thank you.
Nick?
Right, I'm still a candidate. I'm not the politician yet. It's what I hope to be. So bringing balance to Delray Beach will be my priority because that's what my campaign is about. It's about managing our city's growth and ensuring that future development is guided by community input. It's about keeping up with our city's growing public safety needs by investing in our first responders so we can attract and retain the best recruits in our community. I want to ensure that every resident and every neighborhood will benefit from our city's success. My record of service proves I have the experience, the integrity, and the vision to better our community, and my construction experience will bring a very fresh eye to the commission, as well as my compassion, understanding, and the willingness to listen and welcome all to the table. Both my opponents have already run for this position and were unsuccessful. The voters spoke, and now they deserve a fresh and better candidate, and I am that candidate. That is why I humbly ask for you to vote for Nick Capola on March 19th, Delray Beach Seat Commission 3. Thank you.
Thank you. I gave you your seconds there.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so we've basically come to the end.
No, it's all right. It's been a long evening. I get it. It's
Not
okay.
me down. No, I didn't even press you off.
Quickly before I start my closing, Old School Square was the topic of at least 8 or 9 meetings prior to that vote, both through the CRA and the city. You can go online and you can view the meetings and you can see what staff says about the situation and you can make your own determination. I did run and lose. I ran one and once. I ran one and lost. The night I lost was sad. I worked tirelessly for the residents and I was disappointed. At one point I read all the financials in the city and I requested an audit of the entire payroll process, deemed we were losing money, and implemented changes to save us money. I was working for you and I would love to continue. On the evening I lost, my daughter worked tirelessly on my campaign with me and she said, "Mom, what are we going to do next?" I said, "We're going to smile and thank everybody that supported us. And we're going to go home and we're going to see if we want to do it again." And she said, "We're doing it again, Mom." I play tennis. I'm the captain of the top tennis team here in Delray Beach on Atlantic Avenue. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but we always come out to win. I will do my best for you. Please vote for me, Julie Cassell, on March 19th. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Everybody was great with it. Watch it. Quick.
I'll say.
We have like closing remarks because we get to talk. Okay. Excuse me. Pay just attention for a few minutes. I said I want them to pay attention for a few minutes.
Well, first of all, thank all the candidates. Thank everyone for coming. Thank Sharon. What a great job. What a great job. And I am so happy not to be up there. Okay?
And I apologize for my error.
Yeah, and we have a little time left for the candidates. If you want to mingle, we're going to be clearing up here. We got to be out of here by 9, as we've said several times.
Just remind them, Election Day.
Yeah, March 19th. Everyone knows. And to reiterate what Bob said before, we don't want any Republicans on the city commission, which means that's right, or anyone. That's right. Yeah. Well, so that means everyone here is going to be voting. I know, but there are a lot of people that aren't going to be voting that you know that you need to get out to vote.
So thank you all for coming. Appreciate it, and consider joining our club.